Very confident. Very, very confident. Extremely confident.
A chance.
Yeah, Stephen A. said a rookie.
Hey, what's good, guys? Clutch Entertainment here, back in another video. And for today's video, we're going to be talking about the Houston Texans. And as we know, the Texans play the Baltimore Ravens in the divisional round tomorrow, which is Saturday. Depending on when you watch this video, maybe I'll watch it tomorrow on the day of the game, or today, which is Friday. It's going to be a very, very fun game. A lot of people, they have us losing. A lot of people, I guess a lot of Texans fans at least, have us winning. It's going to be a very exciting and stressful game. I mean, right now I'm nervous. I have to go to work in about like a couple hours, and I'm still thinking about the game tomorrow. Like, I'm nervous. Every time I start thinking about it, it just gets me, like, I don't know, like I get anxious over the game. It's weird. It's going to be a very exciting game. We get to see CJ Stroud, his second ever playoff game. Will Anderson, his second ever playoff game. Derek Stingley, his second ever playoff game. Christian Harris, his second ever playoff game. It's going to be a lot of these guys' second ever playoff game, with last week being their first. So a lot of these guys are very inexperienced. They're very young. We do have a mixture of some vets. Robert Woods, Jimmy Ward, who's hurt, of course. Steven Nelson. A couple of guys like those may be the most experienced players in terms of getting far in the playoffs. Outside of that, I'm trying to think. There's not too many veterans on this roster who I think have been that far. Sheldon Rankins, I don't think he ever went that far with the Saints. In New York, of course, yeah, I definitely know. There's only like a handful of guys that have made it really that deep into the playoffs. So all in all, this team is pretty inexperienced. I mean, there's a lot of youth, and there's a lot of guys who just simply haven't made it that far. Laremy Tunsil, we all know he's like a top 2 left tackle in the league. The farthest he's ever been is the divisional round, and it was with Houston. It's going to be a very difficult game. And when you look at the Ravens, it's kind of like, surely we win, right? They don't have that much. But when you also look at them, it's like, how do you put up, 56 points on the Miami Dolphins? The Dolphins, they don't have that bad of a defense. They have a pretty decent defense. And for them to let the Ravens score 56 on them is kind of concerning. Guess I was just Lamar Jackson being Lamar Jackson. I mean, he did have over 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. Gus Edwards had a pretty solid day on the ground, 16 carries, 68 yards. And this was their last, I guess, real game, by the way. This is the last game that they played starters, and that was a 56-19 win over the Miami Dolphins on December 31st. And the key word, December 31st. Tomorrow's the 20th, and they play on the 20th. So it's going to be a whole 20 days, almost 3 full weeks, since their real starters have played a football game. So, I mean, it's going to be like, are they going to be rusty? Are they going to be fully healthy? I mean, obviously that was the goal, to get them fully healthy, to get them rested up, ready for the playoffs. But then a lot of times it can backfire. For one, Lamar Jackson, I'm not saying he's not a playoff quarterback, but statistically he hasn't been the best in the playoffs. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on. And then for him to be coming off of 3 weeks of rest, 3 weeks of no in-game situational football. Yes, you can practice every day of the week. You can practice 6-7 hours a day. I don't care. It's not the same as a situational football game against a defense and against a team that's been playing as good as Houston. I mean, Houston, they just dropped, 45 points on the Cleveland Browns. They demolished them. They were doing good on all 3 levels, special teams, offense, defense. There's just no way you can come up and, I guess, like, play like your natural self against a team that's playing as good as Houston with 3 weeks of rest. I don't care if you're Tom Brady. I mean, okay, Tom Brady, some of the goals could probably do it, but like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense for the Ravens to be able to come in here, 3 weeks rested, and just play a great game. I think they're going to be a little bit sloppy. I think the timing's going to be a little bit off. Yeah, 3 weeks isn't that long. It isn't like an off season where you come in right after preseason, beginning of the season, week 1, and there's all this miscommunication and stuff like that. It's not that deep, but 3 weeks is still 3 weeks at the end of the day. It can mess up the timing. Think about it. Zay Flowers is still a rookie. Getting 3 weeks off in your rookie season, I mean, you're still learning. You're still getting connections with Lamar Jackson. You're still learning the offense. All of that. You're still getting acclimated to the NFL. It isn't going to be that easy. Isaiah Likely, who hasn't been a starter for that much this year, with Mark Andrews being out, Mark Andrews is officially listed out. They're not going to elevate him for tomorrow's game, so that's another big key. But Isaiah Likely, he's not used to being, I guess, a full-time starter. And to get 3 weeks, or well, I think he started like a little bit, like half the season, a little bit more than half the season maybe. But for him to just be a new starter, get 3 weeks off, a lot of changes. Like, this offense, there's a chance that they're not that connected. Yes, they just dropped 56 points in the last, I guess, real game. But still, I don't know. I just don't see it. Houston's defense has been playing elite deep recently. They've been creating turnovers. They've been limiting the run. Of course, outside of the Colts game where they let Jonathan Taylor just absolutely destroy them. The Ravens, the running game, I mean, the running game is always going to be there for the Ravens due to their scheme. But the running backs that they have, they're not the best. Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. Those two guys, they don't really scare me too much. I mean, Gus Edwards he's pretty good, but he's not an RB1. He's not an RB1 that's going to scare me. I remember I did want him in free agency, I think a couple years ago, but he was never RB1, and he's been used as an RB1 recently for the Ravens, and that really doesn't scare me, especially with the way Houston's run D has been playing. I think I forgot the stat, but basically it was like for the last whatever amount of weeks, Houston's been the number 2 run defense, and to be playing a team like the Ravens, who historically have a very good run game due to their scheme, due to their elite running backs that they've had, but it changes a little bit when you don't really have that guy. Yes, you can have a good scheme, but I think you definitely need to have a pretty good running back, and they just simply don't have that. And Houston's run defense, I think they're gonna show that. Maybe Dalvin Cook is more involved tomorrow. The Ravens' new signing, they signed him over the past week or two. Maybe Dalvin Cook sees a big role tomorrow, who knows? But even then, that really doesn't scare me, because his time with the Jets this year, he wasn't that good. So the offense, I think, is going to rely a ton on Lamar Jackson tomorrow. Can Lamar Jackson be magical? Can he create something out of nothing? I think we're going to be seeing him run a lot. In our first meeting with him in week 1, I think we held him to like 38, 39 rushing yards for Lamar Jackson. So, I mean, he wasn't that much of an effect in the run game, but I think this game he's going to be running a whole lot more, just due to the fact that the run game isn't going to be fully there, and that, I mean, our run defense is really good, stopping the running back. So we're probably going to be seeing a lot of quarterback-designed runs, and I think a lot of quick passes too, because they know that our secondary and that our defense is going to be on top of it. So we want to get the ball into their playmakers' hands as quick as possible. Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, OBJ, I mean, I guess for a couple times a game. He really doesn't do nothing much. I think he barely had 500 yards this past season. So I'm not really too worried about him. I don't think you have to make too much of an adjustment for OBJ. But for guys like Zay Flowers, who do have that quickness, that shiftiness, that untaught athleticism, I think it is going to be kind of tough to stop him. I'm not sure if they want to keep Stingley on him, because Zay Flowers is definitely going to be going into the slot a lot of the game. Probably like 70% of the game, he's going to be in the slot. So do you want to move Stingley into the slot that much? I'm not sure. I think it's mainly going to be Desmond King on him. And I think we're mainly going to be playing zone defense, because we are going to be playing a running quarterback. And we're probably going to be blitzing a little bit. I think in the first meeting and pretty much the whole season, we didn't really blitz all too much. We would blitz occasionally on certain situations and certain downs. But Lamar Jackson, there was a stat that I read this past week that against the blitz, he's not the best. I think who was the team I linked? So I think it was Cleveland or something. But one of those teams, they blitzed him like crazy, and he just doesn't have all too much success against the blitz, whether it be running the football, whether it be throwing the football. So I think the game plan is mixed in a lot of zone and man, and just blitz him a whole lot. I mean, we have the guys necessary to do it. We have the defensive line. We have numbers in the defensive line, so we can have guys energized, can keep guys fresh. Derek Barnett, he's the secondary unit of the defensive line. I think he has like 3.5 sacks over the last 5 or 6 games or something like that. So he's been having a very, very good season for us. So we have a guy like that on the second unit, and then of course on the first unit we have Juan and Jonathan Bernard. So our defensive line, they should be able to keep Lamar Jackson in check a little bit. I think we had like 4.5 sacks the first meeting with him. That's gonna be a very difficult game. I do think we stand a chance. I mean, again, for reasons mentioned, 3 weeks without playing your real starters, I think that's definitely gonna take a toll. Yes, you're probably 100% healthy, you're close to 100% healthy and recharged, but then again, it messes up timing, it messes up rhythm, it messes up your momentum. And Houston right now, they've been playing with all the momentum. They're on a 3-game win streak right now. Let's see, the Titans, the Colts, the Browns, and we absolutely ripped apart the Titans. We absolutely ripped apart the Browns, and we played pretty good against the Colts. I mean, for the situations and circumstances, we only had one wide receiver. Will Anderson and Jonathan Grenard were in and out of the game with injury. All right, Jonathan Grenard didn't even play, actually. So we were without Jonathan Grenard. Will Anderson was in and out the game with injuries. And yeah, the games that they did play, that they were healthy, and that we did have wide receivers, we demolished the other team, like Cleveland and like the Titans. So we're on a 3-game win streak. It's the Ravens haven't played in 3 weeks, and we're on a 3-game win streak. So I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting to see how it plays out. I'm very excited. I don't think the weather is gonna play too much of an impact. I think it's gonna be like 25 degrees at kickoff, which yes, it's cold, but in terms of wind, rain, snow, none of that should be an impact based on the forecast. Well, yeah, let me know y'all's guys' predictions. If I had to give a score prediction right now, I think I would say let's go with 34-27 Texans. I think we scored pretty early on in the fourth quarter, and I don't think anybody scores after that. I think we're going to score maybe like 8-9 minutes in the fourth, and it's going to be a defensive game after that. I think we're going to get a stop. I think the Ravens are going to get a stop, and it's going to stay a 7-point game for the rest of the way. But yeah, let me know y'all's guys' thoughts, score predictions down below in the comments. It's been Close Entertainment, and hope you guys have a good day. Peace.